Okay, PowerShell Basics Part 2. Let's talk about aliasing. One of the biggest comments I got in the last video that, by the way, blew up, and I appreciate the comments and likes and shares so much, so thank you for that. One of the comments, or a lot of the comments I got, was how PowerShell is very verbose, especially from the Bash community or the Linux community. It doesn't have to be verbose. I was intentionally verbose because whenever I try to show somebody something in PowerShell, I write out the commands fully. I don't use any aliases. When I'm doing console work myself where no one's looking over my shoulder, I'll use shorthand. When I'm scripting, again, I'm being verbose on purpose. When I write scripts, I want to make them as readable as possible for anyone from any expertise level of PowerShell to kind of understand. So that is something I do with intentionality. But I'll show you what kind of we did last week, and I'll show you what it can kind of look like if you shorthand it. Okay, so last week we did something along the lines of get service, right? We were outputting data from all the services that are running on this machine. And then we piped it to something like this. I know we stored it in a variable, but let's see, do a where object, open close curly braces. We're now processing the pipeline input. We looked at something like filtering on start type, I think it was. Starting off strong equals manual. Okay. All right, that's a subset of the services that are running with a manual start type, right? And then we did something along the lines of format list star, or we had a select statement, but you get the point. Format list star. Okay. And this outputs the full list of the services. See how long that command is, right? I did this on purpose because you can see that the commandlet here passes data to another commandlet, which passes data to another commandlet. We have an action, a get action, we have a filter action, and then we have a format action, which is kind of cool. It's very structured in that way, and I like it. But I could have easily have done something like this: GSV pipe question mark open close curly. We're going to do the same filter. Start type equal manual, and with the double quote pipe FL star. Now, before I run it, this is the exact same command as the above, but it's a lot shorter. It's probably a lot easier to type, right? If you need to type it quickly, but it's a lot harder to read. If you don't know what this does, it's a lot more difficult, right? Well, here, I'll show you. It runs the same exact output. Okay, so like, what are we doing here? What is GSV, right? This command for aliasing in PowerShell, it's called, if you guessed it, Get-Alias. So if you see, if you do get-alias and you type GSV, my bad, here we go. VM playing tricks on me. You can see that GSV is linked to get service. This is one of many aliases. Now, here, take a look at this. dir. We're all familiar with dir, right? Outputs of VM is playing games on me. dir outputs a list of the folders and files that of the directory that I'm in, right? But wait a second, ls. Isn't ls a Linux command? It is, but hey, it had the same output. Why is that? If we go to get alias and we do ls, we can see that ls is linked to get child item. You know what? I think dir is mapped the same way. dir is mapped to get child item. The underlying command that PowerShell is executing when you trigger this alias is get child item. This is the PowerShell command to list the directory. Cool. So this is one way to see how aliases are mapped out. If you want to see all aliases, you can just do get alias. It'll list them all. So I'll end with, I'll try to make these videos like short and sweet. What I will do is I have a YouTube channel where you can see these videos in proper landscape, a lot larger of a viewing experience. I will cross post these between TikTok and YouTube if there's of interest in watching them there. I'll put the YouTube link in my site, which is just seeknay.com. It's in my bio, and you can check it out there. I'll continue to make these if there's an interest. Absolutely happy to cover things. If you have questions about any topic of PowerShell, I will happily try to answer them. I don't do a lot of server manipulation, like get service and things like that, or the basics, testnet connection, stuff like that. I'll do for diagnostic purposes. I do a lot of Active Directory work, a lot of Microsoft 365 work, including like Exchange Online and even Exchange On-Prem and whatnot. So I know those commands like the back of my hand. I use them all the time. So what I did was spin up a couple of DCs in my little lab environment here, and I will cover some videos about how to mass create a set of users, how to do some get commands, and filter on users, and then we'll cover things like exporting to CSV and stuff like that. So I think I have some ideas that may be interesting, and hopefully you stick around. Thank you.